I didn't. All right. Thank you, Madam Clerk, for alerting me that we are ready to go. I'm going to call the meeting to order of Tuesday, May 12th, 2026. It's a regular City Council meeting. I'll look to the clerk. We have special ops tonight. No pun intended. We have Erica Opp and her daughter in the back, our videographer, Maddie Opp. So, yeah, anyway. I thought that was pretty good, right? Okay. We'll do roll call.
Mayor Doring.
Here.
Vice Mayor Deasy.
Here.
Councilmember Barrick.
Here.
And Councilmember Spatafaro.
Here.
All right. How about Chief Sorensen leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. We are now on to item 4 of our agenda, adoption of the agenda. I'll look for the clerk, to the clerk for any changes or amendments to the agenda.
There are none.
Seeing none, I'll look for a motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to adopt the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. That motion passes. The agenda is adopted as is. We're on to approval of the minutes. We have regular City Council minutes of April 28, 2026, and we have special City Council minutes of May 5th, 2026. Any corrections or changes noted by either my colleagues or the clerk?
None.
Then I will look for a motion to adopt the minute, both sets of minutes.
I'll make a motion to adopt both sets of minutes.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. All right, that motion passes unanimously. Now we're on to item 6, public forum. Members of the public are entitled to speak on matters of municipal concern not on the agenda during public forum. Each person's comment shall be limited to 4 minutes. Each person is entitled to speak on any non-agendized item only once at any meeting. Brief questions by council members for clarifications may be posed and answered, and council members may make requests that items be placed on future agendas. But in accordance with state law, no substantive discussion or action may take place unless and until the matter properly appears on the agenda. So I'll open it for public comment. And seeing no one rush to the podium, I will close public comment. We'll move on. All right. We are now on to item 7, reports by staff, city council, future agenda items, and AB 1234 reports. Mr. Walsh, you want to report out from our closed session, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So immediately prior to this meeting, we did have a closed session to discuss a number of closed session items. They included labor negotiations with each of our bargaining units, existing litigation with the St. Helena Neighborhood Association, one item of anticipated litigation, and conference with real property negotiators related to our lease of the property at 1088 College Avenue. The only item to report is on the item of existing litigation. The city authorized the city attorney to defend the city in the lawsuit filed by the St. Helena Neighborhood Association.
All right, thank you for that report. Mr. McCann, any reports from the staff management?
Yes, just 3 very quick things, mostly for interest of the community. We have an item on the agenda, 13.2, regarding the options to fill the vacant seat on the city council. Assuming that you direct us to move forward with filling that seat, applications are available and can be filed with the city clerk until the 18th of May. So folks who might have an interest, assuming that you move forward with that, have until the 18th to take advantage of that. And then similarly, there's another opportunity for folks to serve the community in some really interesting ways on our various advisory boards and commissions. We have openings there, and those can be filed into next month. June 19th is the filing date for that. So I urge people to take a look at those opportunities. And then last, The Blackberg Efficiency Report, which has been of great interest to the community, will be coming to the City Council at a special City Council meeting next Tuesday, 6 o'clock in this room. So I urge people to take a look at that report and come and offer their thoughts regarding its recommendations.
All right, thank you, Mr. McCann. We're moving on to item 9, staff briefing and presentations. We have a discussion regarding A-frame signs, the policy background, current regulations, and council options. You want to introduce the item and the staff member, Mr. McCann,
Yes.
please? Thank you.
Jackie O'Neill, our senior planner, has been working on this and has an item to bring forward. This is a discussion item seeking council input and direction. It follows from an interest that the mayor had. I think he expressed that last year, asking that we bring forward an item at a suitable time about A-frame signs and about our current regulations, and just to have a discussion item, see whether or not the council wishes staff to pursue any amendment to our current provisions. So Jackie has delved into this and is coming with a report that will provide some history and then also tee up some options for you.
Mr. McCann, I don't recall actually giving that direction, but, I've had a few things on my plate, so I'm glad this is coming forward. As I walk downtown, I do see a little bit of clutter and maybe some room to maybe kind of focus a little bit on that, but look forward to hearing the report from Ms. O'Neill so we can get the discussion going and maybe move forward in some direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good evening, council members. So I'll just get right into it. Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Mr. McCann. So the purpose of tonight's discussion is to review the background and history of A-frame sign regulations, summarize the current standards and observed conditions in the city, discuss potential policy options, receive council direction. And again, I will note that no code amendments are being proposed as part of this presentation. Rather, any direction or discussion will guide our comprehensive sign code update, which we expect to bring forward at a later date. So delving into the prior versus current regulations. Our prior code, so pre-2023, A-frame signs were classified as portable freestanding signs. They were prohibited in the city, and there was no permit pathway that allowed for A-frame signs. Under the current code, which was adopted in October of 2023, A-frame signs are allowed as regulated temporary signs, and the standards for those relate to size, placement, and operation, primarily around hours when they're allowed to be placed outdoors. Under our current regulations, the city has moved away from categorical prohibition and has instead established objective design standards for temporary signs. This is a screenshot from the current code. So in summary, maximum size per A-frame is 4 feet in height, 3 feet in width, and 6 square feet in area. Signs must be located within 15 feet of the building where a business is located. A-frame signs may be placed on sidewalks only where there is a minimum 4-foot clear pedestrian path in compliance with ADA standards. And the current code does not explicitly limit the number of A-frame signs per business. So a business could have more than one as long as they were meeting those other standards. Additionally, they must also comply with the code section 1727 A, B, and C, which are related to prohibited location standards and prohibited display standards. They must be made of sufficient materials, weight, and durability, and also must be professionally crafted. Staff conducted a field survey during regular business hours and observed approximately 20 A-frame signs located between Pope and Pine Street, so really focused on the downtown area. Only 2 businesses were observed displaying more than 1 A-frame sign. At that time, staff did not observe any ADA obstructions and did observe some clustering located near Main and Adams Street and Main and Hunt Street. At those locations, there was observed noncompliance with the 15-foot proximity standard. The clustering is related to try to draw people down those side streets to the businesses that are not located on Main Street. And here's some photos of some A-frame signs. You'll see that we also have an upright sign, so those fall under the same temporary sign code standards as your traditional sandwich board sign. So benefits and obstacles. Of course, there's always something to weigh here. The benefits, these are low-cost business marketing tools. They offer pedestrian-oriented communications. They have flexible messaging. They provide street-level activity and can promote public experience. Also, in some conversations with business owners downtown, they express that they feel that they have increased visitation from their A-frame signs. And for those businesses that are located off of our main strip, having A-frame signs can draw people down. For instance, there's some stores that are next to the Y Down Hotel, and they feel that having their sandwich board signs signals to people that they're there. Obstacles that are observed, as Mr. Mayor mentioned, they can result in visual clutter. There's a potential for cumulative impacts, and there's enforcement difficulties primarily related to timing and enforcing when those are brought inside. There's also design consistency versus unique business identity, and there's a potential for sidewalk obstruction. Last year, we did have one code enforcement complaint that was related to an A-frame sign that was blocking the sidewalk. In 2024, the Chamber of Commerce conducted a survey that got 25 responses, so a limited sample size. There were mixed opinions on A-frame signs. Some people liked them, some people didn't like them, some people were neutral, but overall the majority did not support outright prohibition of the signs. And in an effort to bring this forward, staff also reached out to the Chamber to get their current input, and they supported maintaining visual consistency. They suggested consistent design standards over outright prohibition and expressed a willingness to participate in potential design concepts if that's an option that the council wishes to go with. So potential policy approaches this evening: maintain the current regulations as they are, modify standards. Things that you could look at would be the number of signs, the spacing, location and hours, overall size, and design standards, as well as choosing to revert back to the prior regulations, which did prohibit A-frame signs outright. And here's a photo showing some of that clustering. This is at Main Street and Hunt. And here's another photo of a small A-frame sign that this is displaying. You know, it's outside of the accessibility pathway. It's got a changing placard, so the business owners indicated that they liked being able to highlight different events that are going on. For instance, last week was Independent Bookstore Week. And again, just to remind you that any discussion will inform future comprehensive sign ordinance amendments. So this evening, staff is hoping to receive direction and discussion from the council. Here's some questions that you might consider. Are the current regulations adequate? Should additional standards be explored? Or should A-frame signs be further limited or prohibited in the city? And if you have any questions, I'm available, as well as Director Lisa Mikhail. Thank you.
And we should add that the item before you isn't to adopt or introduce any amendments to the code, but rather to determine whether you have interest in that. We've got some parameters, as Jackie has outlined, but that would, if you have interest, we would send that to the Planning Commission to let them have their public hearing, develop ideas, and bring it back to you.
All right. Anybody have any questions or comments about the state of our downtown and A-frame signs?
Please go ahead.
Either one of you. Councilmember Spataroto, go ahead.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm in favor of the signs as far as I'm pro businesses being able to do marketing, especially getting people to go into their stores. I do understand the concern about if there's safety issues with the signs, and I think if there are specific safety issues, it sounds like there's only one potentially last year, which one over an entire year is not bad. It's actually great. So I think as long as we're not getting complaints about these being a safety hazard, tripping hazard, then I'm for continuing with what we have been doing.
All right. Other thoughts on the matter? Mr.
some
Barrett.
thoughts. So for me, I agree mostly with what Kate was saying, with the caveat that I think some of these signs, they don't look great, and it degrades kind of the look and feel of the town. So I would like some standards. It says that it's already supposed to be professionally done, but I think we could just see from some pictures, or if you walk down there, it's pretty hit or miss. So we do need to tighten that up and make sure that there's a quality and a professionalism of those signs. And second, I'd like to say, where are our landmark signs? I really want to see landmark signs. That can help people get to places like Sam's, people in Money Way, off Main Street. We've been waiting a long time for those, and I think this was brought up last year, but I'd like to see something move forward on those as well. Thank you.
Good comments. I think that the landmark signs actually would probably lessen that need to have the A-frame signs, but I don't know for sure. Vice Mayor, do you have any thoughts on the matter?
I just want to agree, and
I agree too. Yeah,
yeah,
go
Mr.
ahead.
Barrick brought up the point of that's what I have heard from the vendors on the side streets, is that they need those signs. And actually, without them, I kind of wonder about the 15-foot rule, because I'd like to see business going back to some of those great businesses back there. Maybe they should, if we don't have signs, maybe we should let them put something on Main Street. I actually wonder about that.
And just to be clear, Mr. Barrett, so we all know what you're talking about. I think I know what you're talking about with a landmark sign. I see those, the ones in Napa are a prime example, the one in Calistoga. So there's several signs on one podium. Yeah, those look really nice, actually. So I think I'm not in favor of eliminating A-frames in our community. I think folks rely on them, and they as stated by Ms. O'Neill, they do serve a business purpose. I do think, though, we have a special downtown. It's an historic downtown, and I think we need to at least be aware of the visual clutter. We have a lot of signs in St. Helena, and not just those signs, but taken together, I think the cumulative impact could be something that we need to look out for. It'd be nice to have a little bit of uniformity, although maintain a little bit of creativity. So I don't know what that means. There's some, I think, working with the chamber on something, and the chamber working with the businesses where they can sort of mediate what that would look like would be fine. I don't think folks need more than one sign, frankly. I know that the nail salon folks have a couple signs. There's others have a couple signs. But I agree, a more professional looking sign that has maybe some standard colors that, a palette of colors that folks can use other than super bright colors on plastic. It doesn't look good in our downtown. So it's more, for me, it's a visual thing, a clutter thing. I think when folks need signs, they rely on signs. I think it helps their businesses, especially when folks are running specials, or if they're in the food business, they may have something that day that is special that day. I think that makes perfect sense. The one thing I do note that on the ADA issue, sometimes signs are right on the curb, and I think that's a different issue besides pedestrians. Is folks trying to open their doors and trying to get out. I think that is a problem that we need to be cognizant of. The 15-foot, I don't know if that is necessary, but I can live with that. I mean, I'd be happy to get it closer to the building, closer to their own private, whatever they're leasing. Not all of that space on Main Street is public space. We have a weird situation where some of it kind of meanders, but 2 feet out from a building or 3 feet out in some areas is the private space. It's their own space, and I think the closer they can keep it to their businesses, the better. But having a sign several blocks away or 100 feet away, I don't know. That doesn't suit me very well. So I'm open to maybe a further discussion on it, working with the chamber, getting more ideas out there, having a little bit more uniformity, and sort of just kind of tightening it up before it gets too far along out of control. I think that's what I'm talking about. I counted 29 signs, but I expanded it to like Grayson coming in. Their board's just right on the railroad tracks. There are other things that catch my eye when I'm driving in. And unfortunately, I'm a creature of being a visual person, so it's going to probably give me a little bit more anxiety than most people, as my family will attest. I don't know if that's enough. Any other thoughts? Anyone from the audience want to weigh in on this? Any other thoughts or any other questions from the staff in terms of direction? Sort of just tightening it up and leaving it to maybe the chamber and the businesses to work it out themselves?
Yeah, that's excellent. That's exactly what we wanted. Sounds like it's not entirely broken, so we don't need to fix it. And maybe pursue the wayfinding landmark signs that you're talking about. Then also, I think, speaking with the chamber, see if we can partner with them to find some design palette flavors that will keep things a little tighter, but also not strangle the creativity. So I think we're good. Is that good, Jackie?
And I recognize, by the way, that there is I don't know if it's an equity issue. I don't know what the term is. Not all folks have the benefit of being on Main Street, so they are not able to capture that traffic. So they may be on Oak or on Railroad and other places. I kind of feel that those folks, I don't know if they need anything special, but I can at least feel the urgency to kind of go, hey, we're here. And that's a tough one. And I don't know what the answer is on that. I'm just raising it as something to think about.
Sure. I think that the wayfinding sign program would certainly help.
Right.
That.
That's what, yeah.
I think we'll need to take a look at the precise language in the code, because there are some provisions that speak to the location of the sign being adjacent to or on the property or serving the property. So there may be some things that we can fine tune there. I don't think it's an urgent matter. I think we'll look toward some of these design issues and the wayfinding program first.
All right. Thank you for a good discussion. Thank you for the report and the work.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you for reminding me that I called for this.
We're here to help. Thanks, Jackie.
All right. We have next a proclamation. Mr. Leach, if you don't mind, I will read the proclamation from my seat, unless you have somebody in the audience who will receive this proclamation. But I will walk it over to you after I'm done reading it. Is that okay? And I'll allow you to have a few.
I will receive it gladly.
Yeah, okay. So this is a proclamation for National Public Works Week. Say that a couple times. Rooted in service, powered by community is the tagline. Whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of St. Helena. Whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector, and who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential to our citizens. Whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children of St. Helena to gain knowledge of and maintain an ongoing interest in and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. Whereas the year 2026 marks the 66th, that was a tough one, 66th annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City of St. Helena, city staff, and the citizens of St. Helena do hereby designate the week of May 17 to May 23, 2026 as National Public Works Week. I urge all citizens to join with representatives of the American Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our national health, safety, and advancing the quality of life for all. Thank you, Mr. Leach, and thank you for your team. Any words of wisdom to our community?
I do, Mr. Mayor. I just want to thank you, members of the City Council, colleagues, members of the community, and those who came out this evening to celebrate this amazing week. So thank you to the members of the public, both in person and online. We are celebrating the 66th annual, thank you for saying that, Mr. Mayor, National Public Works Week. And public works staff, as you know, are the type of people that we prefer to be unseen. So when things are going well, you're not noticing the work that we do. When things don't go well, you probably notice that work. But to a person, both the men and women that are involved in public works and supporting the operations, we do take a lot of pride in serving this community. I contend that Public Works is the greatest department in any agency. We get to do the coolest stuff. We get to spend the most money. We get to impact the community in ways that other departments don't. And as I often tell my friends in public safety, communities and civilizations die for lack of water and wastewater facilities. So it doesn't happen because of public safety. But we spar, don't we, Chief? Regardless of that, thank you again for acknowledging the work that these incredible men and women do each and every day to serve this community and the pride that they take in doing so. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Leach, and I'll hand this to you. Just remember, this signature is going to be very valuable someday. Yes, it will. Like in about 90 years.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, like Lincoln.
All right, thank you for that. All right. Looks like, Madam Clerk, we're on to the consent calendar, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. Okay, just keeping track. Item 10, members of the council or the public present at the meeting may ask that any items be considered individually for purposes of considering alternative action, for extended discussion, or for public comment. Unless that is done, one motion may be used to adopt all recommended actions. Colleagues, any need for further discussion on any of the consent items, 10.1 or 10.2? Anyone from the audience? Seeing none, I'll look for a motion to adopt the consent calendar.
I'll make a motion to adopt the consent.
Second.
We'll have a roll call, Madam Clerk. So motion and a second to adopt the consent calendar.
Councilmember Barrick?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Deasy?
Yes.
Councilmember Spataroto?
Yes.
And Mayor Doring.
Yes. All right. All right. I note that there are no public hearings, there's no old business, so we are on to new business under item 13. 13.1 is the referendum petition challenging a city council ordinance protesting a portion of ordinance number 2026-03. Ms. Marianne, I'll let you introduce the staff member, the item briefly, and then we'll turn it over to whoever's going to make the presentation. It may be you.
Super. Thank you. No, it's not going to be me, although I'll help out as desired. But our city attorney has worked on this, and he'll present the item.
All right, Mr. Walsh, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So the item before you is a referendum petition that was challenging a portion of ordinance number 2603 that was adopted earlier this year. It was approved by the council on February 24th, 2026. And as you will recall, that is the ordinance by which the council adopted the various California building standards codes and local amendments to those codes. The referendum only applies to a portion of that ordinance. The petitioners who requested the referendum specifically said that it would, the referendum seeks to rescind the deletion of subsection 15.36.100D of the municipal code, and the council will recall that is the section of the code that amended the 2022 California Fire Code as it relates to fire access roads to developments of 30 or greater units. And we discussed that at length during the consideration of the Spring Grove project. So when this referendum was circulated locally, the petitioners sought and received a number of signatures, and per the requirements of the election code, they submitted them to our city clerk, who reviewed them and then sent them on to the county elections official. Both of them confirmed that they did provide sufficient signatures to qualify for the ballot. So when that happens, the item comes back to the council per the election code, and you have two choices at that point. You can either adopt an ordinance to do exactly what the referendum is requesting, which is to rescind the deletion of the language I referenced earlier, or you can pass a resolution to place it on the ballot at the next election. So in our case, that would be the November election. So there's kind of a binary choice here. You can either approve the rescission of the language at issue, or you can place it on the ballot. So those are your two choices. In the staff report, we reference some of the, the costs and that is associated with putting it on the ballot. I think that the county election official estimated that to be, I think it was either $15,000 or $25,000. There is an expense associated with that, though. And also in the report, I did get a little bit into the content of the referendum, because I think it's relevant to your decision. As I mentioned, yeah. So the cost that I mentioned is between $15,000 and $25,000. That's what I was referring to. So I did get a bit into the content of it. As I mentioned in the staff report, it's my view that if that language is put back into the code, I don't think it will have any effect. And the reason why is because that language specifically refers to the 2022 fire code. And as we've discussed previously, the 2022 fire code was only in effect until January 1, 2026. And since that point, we've had the 2025 fire code is in effect. And so we can make local amendments to that 2025 code. But if we pass the referendum, the language goes back into the code exactly as it was previously. So it would specifically amend a fire code that is no longer in effect. So anyways, I wanted to note that because I think it's relevant to your decision here as to whether or not you want to just adopt it outright or put it on for an election if the implications of it are that it wouldn't really have any effect. An election may not be necessary, right? You can't just refuse to do what they ask, though. You either have to rescind the language or you have to put it on the ballot. So hopefully that it kind of explains what your options are. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask.
All right, colleagues, any initial clarifying questions for Mr. Walsh? All right, well, let me take time to open a public comment. We'll take public comment on the matter. Mr. Pruder, looks like you're headed that way.
Hi, everyone. David Pruder. I live on Valley View. I want to just first say I agree with the idea of voluntarily rescinding. I want to put in context the process for the ballot referendum. I disagree with Mr. Walsh's conclusion that this would have no effect and not be worthwhile or have any impact. At the time the referendum, or I'm sorry, the ordinance was passed when you were adopting the 2025 fire code, it was stated that we were bringing forward all amendments, local amendments that were in existence. Those local amendments referred to the 2022 code. Those were brought forward when the city was adopting the 2025 code. Clearly, the intent and purpose of this referendum was to keep that language in the newly adopted code. At the time that the referendum, or the ordinance was passed, the 2025 code had not yet been adopted. We had 3 days after you passed that ordinance to submit a impartial summary, and we did that within the time frame. Again, the 2025 code was not, it would take effect 30 days after you passed the ordinance. So I think what Mr. Walsh is doing is a little disingenuous, to be quite frank. Clearly, I spent a lot of time on this. I know a lot of others have. We had a lot of signatures. anyone reading this doesn't think that we went to this effort to try to amend the 2022 code. This is more or less a process of adopting code language. When you update your code, you might have to refer to a new section. The language is clear. We want restored in the code the 2 fire access road requirement. And I think it's, like I said, disingenuous to try to play around and pretend like that's not what this does. So I thank you, and I'd be happy to answer any questions if there are any.
None, but I wouldn't use the word disingenuous. Lawyers have disagreements about facts and law and circumstances all the time, and that does not mean that they're disingenuous. So I don't think that that's an appropriate remark, especially in a small town like St. Helena. So that's, and I'm a lawyer.
Okay, understood. Maybe disingenuous isn't the word, but I will make clear the impartial summary. We went through that process 3 days after the ordinance was passed.
Understood.
Submitted it to the city attorney. Mr. Walsh reviewed it and responded. Agreed to this language. If at that time he thought this was pointless, there was no point of it, and referred to an old code, I think it would have been more genuine at that point to make that comment and not try to lead us down a path and then come to this meeting and say it makes no point. So, I'll retract the word disingenuous, but I think my point stands that anyone reading this and understanding this is clear that the process is amending, adding back into the code the language that was deleted, just like the council said during that meeting. We're pulling forward all local amendments. The local amendment at that time referred to the 2022 code. This is just a drafting process of how you implement code language, and so I agree it should be voluntarily rescinded, but it should apply to the current code that is adopted. So,
All right. Thank you, Mr. Britter. Others in the community? Mr.
Hello
Warner,
there.
welcome.
I'm Chris Warner. I'm here solely in my personal capacity, not in any official or representative capacity. I'm not here to make a recommendation on the options in front of you regarding the referendum petition. I don't disagree with the staff report and opinion of the city attorney that nothing in the referendum, if adopted, would change the applicability and effectiveness of the 2025 building code adopted by the state and required to be adopted and implemented in St. Helena. I do recommend that you make clear what you are not considering tonight. Namely, you should make clear you are not changing the facts and record of how you have applied the 2025 building code to existing projects, or how you must apply the 2020 building code to pending and future projects. That code is in effect. In particular, at your February 10th meeting on the Spring Grove project, for example, your city staff, including your fire and police departments, provided their expert opinion that application of the 2025 building code, including this provision regarding fire apparatus road requirements, was safe based on St. Helena's wildfire evacuation plans and criteria. That was embedded in the staff report, in the fire department's response to opposition. Point by point, the fire department and the police department responded, and you also heard testimony by your city staff at the February 10th meeting. But just as importantly, the attorney for the opponents of applying the 2025 building code fire apparatus road provision stated orally, expressly to the city council, that the city council should defer on wildfire safety matters to the expert opinion of its staff. That was in response to a question that Council Member Barak asked the attorney for the opponents, and the attorney for the opponents made his legal arguments against the 2025 building code. But when I asked about what should we make of the opinion of our staff, the attorney expressly stated that the council and the city should defer to the expert opinion of their staff. For these reasons, I recommend you make clear in any resolution you adopt tonight that you're not changing the record evidence provided by your staff and fire and police departments that the one fire apparatus road proposed for the Spring Grove development, as well as for other developments, is safe for wildfire evacuation purposes. Thank you for consideration of these comments.
Thank you for the comment. Others in the public wishing to comment?
Good evening, Council. My name is Michelle Lou Cavell. I didn't prepare anything, but I wanted to respond to this presentation and some public comments and some of the conversation here. My understanding is that, well, one, the project that Mr. Warner was talking about, Spring Grove, was approved by council, my understanding is, during the 2022 code was current. The 2025 code was adopted a few weeks afterwards, I think, officially. So the current code under the city's zoning code was 2022. The other situation is that building codes are the state building codes are the state. The local jurisdictions are allowed to have more strict based on regional issues. We have tons of more strict zoning codes than the state codes. So when I was watching that ordinance city council meeting, it was presented as if, and I think Mr. Walsh, I think Council Member DZ had asked whether or not, you're allowed to have more strict codes. And, I'm paraphrasing, but my understanding is that you're allowed to, but it might not pass, was the discussion. We could go that route and we can look at it, but it might not pass. And so the discussion was then moved forward with just kind of going with the state's more strict, lenient code. We have regional issues. California is not the same everywhere. Some cities have big highways, 101s, 80s, and all these other big freeways. We have 2 exits that are single lane. We have regional wildfire issues. We have had a lot of severe fires recently. And I have sent in comments about Sonoma's Fair and Peers report that they just did in 2026, looking at evacuation and trying to mitigate bottlenecks. I looked at Napa County's FireWise fire safety element, and the Fair and Peers report does a whole different metric. It's not the same metric. It's distance and time, not capacity and population and road exits. So we have regional issues, which allows us local jurisdictions to have more strict rules. I think when I looked at the staff report and it says it had no effect. I don't agree with that as well. When I read that, I had to question it. I hope you guys all kind of question that as well. I also hope you look back at that ordinance, City Council, because that presentation, to me, it felt very strong-armed and not openly discussed in dialogue with understanding what we're allowed to do.
Thank you, Ms. Clavell. Others wishing to comment on the matter? All right, I'll close public comment, bring it back to the council for discussion. First of all, any comments from staff on any of the comments that were made? Any need to clarify anything, Mr. Walsh or Mr. McCann or others?
Well, I guess the one thing I would say is on the kind of the, suggestion that I was being disingenuous. So when someone submits a petition for a referendum or for an initiative, there's a statutory responsibility that I have as a city attorney, and that is to write a title for that item and provide a summary of the materials provided. And my view is that I am supposed to provide a factual summary of what it does. And I did that in that case. I said exactly what I thought the language would change, is it would reinsert that language. I didn't do any legal analysis of what I thought the effect of that would be, because I don't think that's appropriate in that document. And so I try to just, I think council knows this, I try to play it very down the line, and if I have a responsibility, that's what I do. When there's a decision for council to make, then I think it is my responsibility to tell you what my legal analysis is of that. And to me, the language of that referendum, I didn't prepare it, I wasn't involved in it. But when I read it, it says that the language says what it says, in my view, and it says that it amends the 2022 fire code, and the 2022 fire code is no longer in effect. So to me, it has no, my interpretation of that is that it has no effect. So I'm just telling council what I think, and you can make your decision, and hopefully that'll help inform your decision, but that's what my responsibility is, and so that's what I'm trying to do with my report.
All right. Mr. McCann, so there's been, as there have been in prior sessions, concern in the community because we live in a wildfire-prone area. As I see it, sort of the language that we're talking about and the focus of the ordinances that we're talking about is really focused in on fire apparatus. But there's also another concern in the community, and I have the same concern, and that's about evacuation and how we can get better at that, working with the county, other nonprofit organizations, CAL FIRE. What are your thoughts on that portion, which is sort of not entirely relevant, but that issue has come up in public comment?
Sure. The points are similar, but also quite different. The section that has been the point of discussion in the fire code speaks to fire access, and that's a very deliberate term, defined, and relates to the access necessary for fire vehicles to enter a site, and then has different parameters about the nature of that and the frequency of it, whether you need one or two, how that second access might be located, the prescribed distance to qualify. So that's one thing. And that provision, or those provisions apply across town, but the question of whether one needs a second access applies to relatively few properties in our community. I think the larger issue, though, is the one that we heard about during the hearing on this particular, or on the Spring Grove subdivision, and in general from the community and from council members. And that's more, not about fire access, but more about the potential for individuals, for residents to have proper egress, particularly sort of an evacuation egress. And so that's different than the fire access. And in thinking about this and some of the comments that the council has offered previously and folks in the community, I think there's a way to address that question of, can we look at enhancing the requirements for egress, we call it evacuation if you want, in future developments. And so there are provisions, and I'm sure we've all seen them. Perhaps there's some here in St. Helena. I'm not certain of that, but sometimes you'll see an area, a corridor that might be a walking path. It might have a bollard on it, so a removable bollard. So if that bollard is removed, the walking path turns into a route that could be used in an emergency as an egress for evacuation purposes. Sometimes they are paved, look like a road. Sometimes they look like a hiking or a biking or a Class 1 trail. Sometimes they're all-weather material, turf grass or interlocking pavers. So there are a variety of techniques to approach that, but that's something that we don't presently have defined or outlined or articulated in our codes, but we certainly could. We could say that projects of a certain type in a certain location, should include these things or shall include these things. We don't need to prescribe what it is because there's many ways to achieve that need. Some are small, some are bigger, some are obvious, some might not be so obvious. But if that's an interest of the council, we can certainly pursue that as an amendment to our municipal code. It need not be exclusively physical improvements. It could also be some type of programmatic method, something that might be more in education or more in outreach or alerts that could also function to enhance evacuation during emergencies. And that evacuation is not limited to wildfire. It could also be flooding conditions as well that may benefit from that. So I think there's some tools that we could use that could address I think the underlying issue or underlying concern that we've heard about ensuring there's more than one way to get out from a particular development.
All right, thank you for that. Mr. Warner raised an interesting point that I think maybe we need to make clearer. I think you did make it fairly clear, but the concern I have is, let's make sure that we all know what code we are operating on going forward, no matter what decision we make. It is a 2025 fire code, all the codes, correct?
Correct.
All right.
Right, and those go into effect on the state, like statewide, on January 1st of every 3 years. So in the case of the 2025 codes, it's January 1st, 2026 is when it went into effect. And then you have the opportunity to make local amendments, which we did through ordinance 2603.
Okay. There was maybe a potential typo under the discussion, several paragraphs in, and I just wanted to clarify. The staff, this sentence reads as follows: the building standards codes that are in effect as of January 1, 2026, and the 2025 codes, including the 2025 California Fire Code. I think it may be intended to say are the building standard codes that are in effect as of January 1, 2026 are the 2025. Is that?
Yes, that's right. Thanks.
I read that
thanks
a couple
for noting
times.
that.
Oh, okay.
Right.
That's what I think you mean. Okay. I wanted to clarify that. Thoughts from my colleagues on the direction that you folks want to go in terms of the choices, the two choices, the binary choices, as somebody said? Which, Mr. Barrett.
I'd say that, Mr. McCon, what you brought up, I think is something I'd want to pursue, because that is a concern, right? How do we address evacuation in the appropriate way? As you pointed out, it seems like this piece is not focused on evacuation. It's egress for vehicles, first responders, et cetera.
Actually, it's access is what the code is, yeah.
Thank you.
Which kind of goes both ways, but it's access.
Getting in is more important than getting out for a fire truck.
The Hotel California, yes.
All right. Vice Mayor Deasy.
Thank you. Mr. McCann, thank you for that. I think the creative egress is a great idea, and can you tell us when it's possible to do that?
Sure. Easy for me to say because others will be doing the work. But I would think these types of ideas are readily available. They exist all over the place. So it's not like we have to go create it. I think we have to organize it, figure out where it would go. I could envision something in our zoning code describing a few things. We don't have to describe everything, but just indicating what that is. And then I think we need to identify how that would be required, whether it's suggested or required, and sort of the appropriate types of projects and settings that it would apply to. But those are just all things that would go into elements that would be a part of an amendment to the zoning code. It's fortunate because the Planning Commission is undertaking that now. So they're looking at, 3 dozen or so more amendments to the zoning code, most of them sort of minor cleanup things, some a little bit more significant. I think this could easily slide into that. I think if the council wishes to place some priority on it, we can ensure that it has that priority. The commission, I believe, is going to be looking at their initial bundle of these in a couple of weeks. And I would expect that if we place emphasis on this, we could have something that comes from the commission to the council in the next couple of months.
Thank you.
I think on that note, it's important to recognize that Napa County and CAL FIRE and other organizations have been studying this for quite a long time, evacuation routes, including our fire department. I think the issue is that that does not necessarily get transmitted to the public citizens in terms of, well, what is the plan? So there's a little bit of lack of comfort there. So I think, obviously, I don't want to throw this on your plate, but over the next period of time here, I think it would be actually fairly important to do sort of like a workshop or an educational piece, bringing in the experts, and Mr. Warner knows many of those players, to kind of lay it out there at the Cameo. Go, this is what the plan looks like. This is what we've been thinking about for 20 years or longer, and then take that. So that's the macro level. And then we can look at what is in existence and see where our code is aligned with it, or where our code maybe needs a little bit more work. That to me then it brings everybody in so that we're not at cross purposes, because St. Helena is not isolated. It's not an island or in a vacuum. Evacuation is dependent on how Calistogans come through and how folks from Yountville come the other way, or we're intermixing traffic, and it just suggests that St. Helena is the focus would be probably not appropriate. I think we need to do a broader. So I'm just adding to that.
Sure, yeah.
as a path forward. Yep. What's the baseline of what we have?
Yeah, and I don't want to leave the impression that we don't have evacuation tools in place. We do. We've got excellent evacuation planning, evacuation routes. That's a bigger, system, if you will, than what I'm referring to. I'm referring to elements that might be implemented on a project on a property by property basis. So that's how you get out, or additional means of exit from a property. Our larger community evacuation, I think we're in very good shape. But I think it's a good idea, especially since we're getting into fire season, just to remind folks, and we can certainly put something together that talks about evacuation and all of the different aspects there.
All right. Well, your mayor is inclined to agree with Mr. Pruitt on repealing the challenge portion of the ordinance. I don't know how others think, because I don't think it is a prudent use of our resources, whether it's 15,000 or 25,000. If we can accomplish it, there's obviously going to be some legal interaction in terms of what that means going forward. I think I've heard it a couple of times that if we repeal that language or repeal that section, it goes back into the ordinance, but that affects 2022. 2022 is not extant. We're still in 2025. Again, there's a disagreement in the community about that, but I think that would be, you have two choices: either put that on a ballot measure or you do it now, and I'm inclined to just do that now. I don't know how others think. All right.
So then, to effectuate that, Mr. Walsh, we have the council introduce the ordinance. Is that correct?
So yeah, because it's for being done pursuant to the election code, there's not the first and second reading. You just adopt the ordinance. So you would make a motion to adopt the ordinance included with the staff report.
I'll make a motion to adopt the ordinance in the staffing report.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. I did note in the ordinance that we're adopting that the date has to be amended. Mr. Walsh, I think it said 2024. A minor typo that I think affects the merits of the motion at all.
Where was
reading
that?
Something else. I thought it was in the ordinance or the resolution, but I don't know. Let's see.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Is it somewhere else? I don't remember where it was. I saw 2024, but.
I think it was in the reso.
Oh, it was in the reso.
It was in
Okay,
the
sorry.
reso.
Which is not relevant. Okay.
But I guess just to capture it, we'll make sure that the correct dates, which should be 2025, are reflected in the document.
All right. Who made the second?
Kate.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Barrick,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Deasy,
Yes.
Councilmember Spadafora,
Yes.
and Mayor Doring.
Yes, all right, thank you for the discussion. Thank you for the public comment.
And Mayor, I did, you were right. It said that it would be approved on May 12th, 2024. We'll make
That's what I
that
was referring
correction
to.
that it's
Thank you.
2026.
Yeah, I'm not, I know I have, memory issues from time to time, but, all right, thank you, Mr. Walsh. Okay, thank you for that discussion. We're looking like we're moving to item 13.2, consideration of a process for appointment to fill the city council vacancy. You'll know, Mr. McCann, that I typically turn to our city manager, even if it's not your item, and you can introduce the item if you have any preface.
Perfect.
And then send it to the appropriate staff
All right,
member. So
great.
that's where we are. Thanks.
Thanks very much. This item is a rather unusual one, not one that I've bumped into before, but we have a vacancy on the city council, and by government code, we need to fill that vacancy. Councilmember Summers was absent from city council meetings during a 60-day consecutive period, which is outlined in the government code, and that absence caused the seat to become vacant. There's not a determination or a declaration that the council has to make. It just happens by application of the law. And given that vacancy, there is a need to fill that seat within 30 days from the commencement of the vacancy. And so that occurred in late April, and that would require that we take action by the 26th, I think it is, 27th of May. There are really two choices. One is to make an appointment to fill the balance of the term, which goes to November. The other would be to call a special election. There's a different time frame for special elections. We would recommend moving forward with the appointment, given the short period of time and also the cost involved in the special election. We anticipated that you might do that. We already invited applications from the community, and that closes, as I mentioned earlier, on the 18th, 19th, I think it is. On the 18th of this month. So we would urge you to move forward, discuss the matter, and then direct staff to pursue that process of filling the vacancy. We'll bring it back to you if that's your wish at the meeting of the 26th. We'll also schedule interviews if that's the way we're going.
All right, thank you for that, Mr. McCann. Any initial clarifying questions from my colleagues? I'll open it for public comment. Anyone wishing to comment on this item? Seeing none, I'll close public comment and bring it back for council discussion. What say you all? I think the council appears to be in agreement with your point of view, Mr. McCann, that it seems more prudent to fill the position, given the timeline of the November election coming before us. I appreciate the staff moving expeditiously in uncertain territory, kind of keeping the options open, leaving it to the discretion, of course, of the council to decide which way it is to go. But I think you're spot on in terms of how you thought we would think, and we're all in alignment with filling the seat.
There's no reso, but Ethan, I presume we need a vote to do this, or just direction? Votes are always good, I guess.
You can have a vote. I don't really think you need it at this point,
Okay.
but you can.
Out of caution, I think I'll look for a motion to proceed with filling the seat as opposed to having an election.
I'll make a motion to appoint the city council member and accept the staff's recommendation.
Second.
All right. There's a motion and a second to go forward with filling the seat by council appointment. Second by, I think, Ms. Spadafora. Roll call, please, Ms. Ops.
Councilmember Barrick,
Yes.
Councilmember Spadafora,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Deasy,
Yes.
and Mayor Doring.
Yes.
Great, thank you.
For that. And by the way, thank you for the fairly comprehensive application that is different than our normal application. I think it hits the mark a little bit better. Yeah, I think it's a good application, and yeah, I encourage people to apply. Be interested to see how that all pans out.
Yeah, I think Special Ops, Erica, and Andrew Bradley had prepared all that.
All
so.
right, yeah, thank you for that. All right, we're on to item 14. Any council reports from your other duties besides council work, or in addition to council work, regional bodies, subcommittees, or anything else? No? Okay. Seeing none, we are at that point to adjourn. Are we all set, Madam Clerk? Anything else for the good of St. Helena? No. Then this meeting is adjourned to our regularly scheduled meeting. Well, we're actually going to be here on the 19th, and then we'll be back again. We have a lot of meetings, Mr. McCann, since you've been around. I don't know.
Yeah.
On the 26th, so you've got us tied up all May.
Yeah, right.
All right, the meeting's adjourned. Thank you.